Hi, my name is Bob Hill, and I'm the president of the Church of Scientology for the Mission of Riverdale at 308 Broadview Avenue in Toronto. This is Sunday service number 67. Today, we're going to take up something you may be seeing in the future. It's called the Scientology symbol. Here's what it looks like. You can see there's an S, and on top of the S are two triangles. So it's the S and the double triangle. Now, you're probably wondering, how could this possibly help you in life? And I'm going to explain that to you today, because you're going to probably be seeing more of this here and there as time goes by. So it would be a good idea to know what it's about and to also understand how this can help you. So the sermon is based on the writings of L. Ron Hubbard from 18 February 1972. Now, the S and the double triangle, as I mentioned, signifies that there are two triangles in Scientology over which the S is imposed. The S simply stands for Scientology. So that S you see in that over top those triangles, it stands for Scientology. Now, Scientology simply means knowing in the fullest sense. So keep that in mind. So you may find you're running into problems in life, for example, and you may find that you have kind of these hidden things coming at you that make you react, or you have a sudden ache or pain or twitch or bout of anxiety or even depression, and you don't know where it's coming from. Well, Scientology gives you the information so that you can know or understand where these things are coming from. And if you have that knowingness, then you can kind of say, well, I feel depressed today, and I should go to my doctor and get some psychiatric medication to give me a lift, or however, pharmaceutical medication, however you want to call it. Well, that's a mistake, because if you know where it's coming from, what causes it, you won't have to take that medication. Now you can say, well, the medication makes me feel good and I feel great and blah, blah, blah. However, you have to realize that that's purely synthetic. So with Scientology, knowing in the fullest, you can yourself become cause over these things, so you don't need that synthetic reason for feeling that. I mean, jokingly, I can tell you an anecdotal story. Many years ago, when I got into Scientology, prior to being in Scientology, I was experimenting with various drugs and so on, and we used to call it being high. When you're on the drug, you were stoned or you were high. And my friend said to me, since you got into Scientology, it's like you're on a natural high. And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, you don't have to take drugs, but you're kind of on a natural high. Are you sure you don't want to take any acid or pot or anything? I said, no, I'm done with the drugs. I just feel pretty good about life. And so that was because I had some knowingness of what was going on, and I no longer needed those drugs. Now that, believe it or not, occurred within a few weeks of being in Scientology. From reading a couple of books, doing a few procedures, that's what happened. Now, so you got the S, so Scientology, knowing in the fullest sense. Now the lower triangle here, see, we say the lower triangle stands for affinity, reality, communication. So ARC. And these points, you can take the word affinity, for example. What does affinity mean? Affinity is simply the degree of liking that you have for another person or not liking, and it's the degree of closeness you have towards things. So if you have affinity for someone, you like to be around them. Like there's certain people that I have a lot of affinity for and I like to be around them. Fact is, due to my studies in Scientology and my knowingness about life and how far I've gone with it, I have affinity for pretty much everyone I run into, and I can express that, and it's a natural occurrence. When one has that kind of knowledge, and then they can have affinity for people. Now the other part of the triangle there, the one corner, this corner here, that's reality. And reality is basically like the degree to which you can agree with others on something being as it is. Does that make sense to you? So that's reality. So like let's say, I got my friend Raj there, and I go up to Raj and I say, it's a nice day today. And he looks outside and he goes, yeah, it is a nice day. So we have reality, it's a nice day. And I say, we should go for a walk today. And he goes, well, it'd be great because it's a nice day. So let's go out. Now, prior to that, myself or Raj may have been feeling a little bit down, but because we actually looked at how it was outside, or looked at the fact that, hey, going for a walk might help raise our spirits, we achieved reality. So you go for a walk and then you feel a little better. So that's 2 points of the triangle. Now, the next point in that triangle at the top, that's communication. That's very important. And the reason why that top point, communication, is important is because communication ties the other two together. Okay? So if you want to have affinity, you communicate to somebody. If you want to have reality with them, so to the degree you communicate, that gives you space around you, and you achieve reality and affinity with another person. So communication, point A to point B, not being just a point on a line, but actually being the source of the communication or the receipt of the communication with affinity and reality, ups everything. And you tie those 3 points together on that triangle, and again, with Scientology, you have understanding. And when you understand people, it's easy to get along with them. So that's your bottom triangle. Now, the upper triangle, this is quite an interesting one. Knowledge at the top, knowingness. Again, we go back to the basic concept of Scientology. If you have knowledge of man or who he is or what's going on with you, that helps you in your life and helps you to achieve, again, higher ARC with people and understanding. So you have knowledge here at the top, and then over here you have responsibility. So you say, well, what the heck does responsibility have to do with that triangle? Well, let's take a look at it. Let's pretend that you have been struggling in your life, and this COVID thing has caused all kinds of undue upset for people. People are a bit edgy and so on. Now, if you have knowledge in your life and you know how to deal with things that are causing those upsets, or how to have people be comfortable and relaxed, and you don't do anything about it, you're not taking responsibility for it. However, if you take responsibility for that knowledge that you have up here, then you've got the show going. And you'll find that you'll be in way better communication with people, way more reality with people, way more affinity with people, and thus achieve more understanding. So these triangles kind of tie together, as you can see. So you got the knowledge, you studied, let's say, 3 courses in Scientology, which that would give you enough knowledge so that you would be far ahead of any other philosophy or technology that's out there. And it would give you enough tools in your life so that you could overcome the barriers and the problems in your life that are causing you to struggle. Or simply, maybe you're not struggling financially, but you're just not happy. For some reason, you got all this money in the bank, you got a nice car, you even got a house, a 5-bedroom house, and it's a beautiful house, it's huge. However, you wake up in the morning and you don't feel happy. Well, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get some knowledge about life and take responsibility for it, and maybe help the guy across the street or the guy down the road or some guy you're talking with at work and raise him up, and he could feel better. But also, this is directed at you, no matter what your status is in life. Now, the final point on this triangle, so you have knowledge, responsibility, and final point, control. So you have the knowledge, you take responsibility for it, now you can control things too. And if you can put all those things together in that triangle, you can have your life go on an upward trend. Many of you find that as you go into life, you start out at a certain point and you're fighting the good fight and you achieve some of your goals, and like maybe you get a good job and you're making good money and you got your wife and you got your kids and your bank account's pretty hefty, although your mortgage eats up quite a bit of it. Or maybe you don't have a mortgage, you're one of the lucky ones and you just got a nice juicy bank account. However, you don't have any knowledge on what life is about. Can't take responsibility for the mess you see going on around you, and therefore you can't control it. Well, now I've explained those 2 triangles to you. Scientology, and we'll go back to the meaning of Scientology, knowing in the fullest sense. You study Scientology, you learn these simple things about these triangles, and you start to control life, and you start to control it for yourself. Now, I'm not asking you to go out and take on, every problem that man has, but certainly I am asking you, try and get a little bit of relief from your own problems and the things that are bothering you in life. And that's where we come into it with this Scientology and the 2 triangles, which can change your life. You can become happier. We will address you in Scientology spiritually, because we do have the strong idea that you are a spiritual being, and probably you have that same concept somewhere inside, that there's something more to me than my body, and that is you. And what we're going to do is give you the information so you can separate out what's you and what's not you. Then you can control it. Then you can have higher points on this triangle. You can become more knowledgeable, and you'll find life will be much better for you. So I strongly recommend that you get more information on this triangle. It will help you. And let's change conditions for you and for others. With that, I'm going to do the Scientology prayer for total freedom. May the author of the universe enable all men to reach an understanding of their spiritual nature. May awareness and understanding of life expand so that all may come to know the author of the universe. And may others also reach this understanding, which brings total freedom. So there you go. There's another point on that triangle. By getting that knowledge, you can achieve total freedom. At this time, we think of those whose liberty is threatened, of those who have suffered imprisonment for their beliefs, of those who are enslaved or martyred, and for all those who are brutalized, trapped, or attacked. We pray that human rights will be preserved, so that all people may believe and worship freely, so that freedom will once again be seen in our land. Freedom from war and poverty in one, freedom to be, freedom to do, and freedom to have. Freedom to use and understand man's potential, a potential that is God-given and God-like, and freedom to achieve that understanding and awareness that is total freedom. May God let it be so. Thank you. That's it for today's sermon. Next Sunday we'll be back. Try and get yourself some Scientology information. Make your life better. Get more knowingness on what's going on. Get a higher degree of understanding. You'll do a heck of a lot better. So that's my invitation to you. Get a hold of the materials. Thanks.